This is a story from the Washington Post, just came out recently, but white deaths outnumbering white births for the first time. In fact, all across every white-controlled country, the fertility rate is below replacement rate. Now you need 2.1 children per woman to keep the population stable, and all the countries all the white countries are running well below replacement rate for more than one generation, which means it's an exponential decline that they're in. Now, most people don't actually understand what an exponential decline is. So, if you look at it this way, if you had a jar of jelly beans and there was 1,024 jelly beans in that jar, and the first day you took one and ate it, and the second day you doubled it, and so on, doubled it every time you went to the jar, that jar will be empty in 10 days. But what day do you think it will be when that jar is half full? But it turns out it will be day 9. So if you think about it, at day 9, if you add up all the jelly beans you've eaten when you got to day 9, right, that'll add up to 512, which is half the amount. And then the next step will be that amount again. So the next step, that jar will be empty. The point is, you won't see it coming. Yeah? It's exponential decline. You don't see it coming until the very end. So there's a proof that they know about this situation, and you know they're worried about it. This was from the EU Parliament that was discussing this situation. But interesting point to note that he says the collapse has already happened. Yeah? And it's their own agenda, their own social lifestyle that was causing their downfall. And if you caught that bit at the end, the only two choices they have is demographic collapse, complete collapse of their population, or importing 100 million people. Well, that's importing 100 million people to mix with to make sure that their population survives. Which leads me to add one remark, that the number of purely white people in the world is proportionately very small. All Africa is black or tawny, that's brown. Asia, chiefly tawny. America, exclusive of the newcomers, wholly so. And in Europe, the Spaniards, Italians, French, Russians, and Swedes are generally of what we call a swarthy complexion. The word swarthy means black. It comes from the word schwarz. As are the Germans also. So he's saying right there that the Germans were black people. The Saxons only accepted. That means the Saxons, or the people from Bavaria, were white. Who, with the English, make up the principal body of white people on the face of the earth. So what he's saying there is that the American colonialists, the Bavarians, and the English were the only white people in the world. Yeah? So if people say that the white people were doing pretty much everything, there was very few of them in 1751 when Benjamin Franklin wrote this. And he goes on to say, why increase the sons of Africa by planting them in America? So he's saying, why do we need to increase the black people when we can make America wholly white? So essentially, that's them saying that a great deal of those slaves were actually from Europe. There was another source of these slaves, and that was England, or the British Isles. So I'm going to go into a quick summary of the founding of Britain. Britain was actually founded by a Trojan prince back in 1103 BC called Brito, or Brutus. The Scottish, and especially the Irish, were black people. This is an illustration from Harper's Weekly from the 1800s, and it's showing the difference between Negro, Anglo-Teutonic, that's white people, and Irish Iberian. Okay, and you can see that the Irish Iberian face is very similar to the Negro. It's a kind of cross between the Negro and the white to make the Irish. I tell you right there that the Irish were the Iberians. In the text, you probably can't see from here, it says the Iberians are believed to have been originally an African race. Yeah? So they're telling you right there that the Irish were an African race. They weren't actually African, they were a Negro race. Yeah? It's only in 1940 that the Irish were finally accepted into the white race. It only takes 3 generations to actually lose the colour, and essentially that's what they've been doing. This example was from Australia. This is the latest, one of the latest examples of them whitenising that culture. But it's been happening throughout the centuries. So, as you can see there, not all white people are actually white people. Yeah? And similarly, some black people aren't actually black people, aren't actually Negroes. This isn't about race, it's about DNA, it's about species. And they're still using the Willie Lynch method by dividing us on skin colour and skin shade. So this brings me to King James. King James of the King James Bible. He was a black man. As you can see from this engraving that comes out of the King James 1611 Bible, he's clearly depicted black here, as is his wife, Queen Anne of Denmark, sporting an afro right there. So again, this is another engraving, and you can't whitewash an engraving. This is another engraving of King James, the 6th of Scotland and the 1st of England. Again, he was a black man who was a descendant of King David, of the line of Judah. He had the Bible translated as faithfully as possible, and he united the tribes of Judah that were in England, Ireland, Scotland and Wales, and France actually. And the Roman Catholic Church tried their best to assassinate him, and that was Guy Fawkes and the Gunpowder Plot. I thought it was about getting rid of Holland. No, it was about getting rid of the Black King. The Union Jack that Britain flies is actually the reunification of Jacob. That's what it means. The word British means, it's a Hebrew word that means man of the covenant. It's the covenant between the Creator and the Hebrews. Great Britain is the land that was promised Abraham, where it said in Genesis that Abraham will be the father of a great nation. Great Britain is the only country that has that appellation. But it's no longer the land of the covenant, because the people aren't there anymore. It's now England, or Angleland, or Angel Land. So King James, this is a bogus painting of him. This is a Renaissance painting of him. He was subjected to a smear campaign where they said he had sex with his mother and was homosexual, even though he had 9 children with his wife. Wrote love letters and things. He wasn't a homosexual. His clan, his line, were the last true royalty of England. His son, Charles I, and grandson, Charles II, who was known as the Black Boy, well, Charles II was the last of that line, and he was beheaded. And again, here you can see the actual painting of him and the whitewash version of him. So when he was beheaded, they put an Ashkenazi a Nephilim line of royalty on the throne. There are thousands of these religious icons in Russia. Now, what happened in Europe was that the Renaissance, which is the rebirth of the white culture, was all about destroying all religious icons and repainting them in their image. But since Russia was one of the last countries to be whitenized, their religious icons escaped this whitenization process. In fact, you can go on Google and type in black Russian icons, and you'll find pretty much all the characters in the Bible depicted as black people. So this is, up until 500 years ago, this is how the people in the Bible were depicted. In Psalms 83 it says, "For lo, thine enemies make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up their head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people, and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, Come, and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee." What it's saying there is all the nations have got together against us. There is a depopulation agenda in this world. These are the Georgia Guidestones, and on these Guidestones it actually says that to keep the human population down to 500 million. And if they're successful, we can guess what colour those 500 million will be. There's also instituted by these people down here a plan called the King Alfred Plan, which was made up after the Civil Rights Movement. That once, if it ever happened again, the black people would be rounded up and put in internment camps and exterminated. That plan was updated in 1984 by Ronald Reagan in a plan called Rex 84. So you can look those things up. Again, Genesis says that Genesis 15:13 says, "Know for a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in the land that is not theirs, and shall serve them and afflict them for 400 years. Well, slavery began in 1619. 400 years on from then is 2 years' time.